Hey guys, welcome to another English commentary done by Diggity. This is going to be the final match of Lost Saga MSL Group G between Canata and Frozean. Sorry if that's a spoiler. Well, you're watching the final match, so read this matches, huh? Anyway, I'm not sure if this will be epic or not. Depends on Frozean, because Frozean again sometimes plays at a very high level and other times at a very low level. Canata is going to be at the 11 o'clock position in blue, looks like Frozean, the bottom right hand corner, or I guess the 4 o'clock position approximately. I should put a clock up in front of me to kind of get these sometimes in white. This is on Carthage, which is a really odd map altogether. Any base past your first 2 is ridiculously hard to take and ridiculously hard to hold. Because basically, aside from your main and your secondary, there are ramps everywhere leading into the next base over. And kind of open area, you've got temples in the direct middle of the map, which open that up, creating even more lanes, and then otherwise it's just ramps leading down or from multiple directions into all the other expansions. So just so you know, upper right hand corner, bottom left hand corner, there's ramps. There's expansions with 2 ramps leading in. Quite a bit separated from the secondary. Looks like we're seeing a degree of a seal in here from Canata. Frozean looks like he might be going for a 14. No, I'm sorry, using his front door. I was about to say 10 command center. No, he's putting that supply depot down, but leaving it to the side of his base. Maybe going for a little bit more of an aggressive build here, leaving that front door open. But and then also getting back to the map artifacts, you've got the 9 o'clock and 3 o'clock position. Upper 9 o'clock, you've got a base with a ramp leading in, kind of like Byzantium, inverted, and then at the lower section, I guess, lower section at the 9 o'clock and upper section at the 3 o'clock. Almost impossible to hold because you have a ramp to the north and a ramp to the south in both directions. And Terran versus Terran, you can obviously have troops dropped all over that. I guess the easiest to hold expansion is in the dead center just above your main, in the middle. And again, you've got a ramp to the south, a ramp to the north, and then another kind of conjoined area to the north. This is from the 6 o'clock position. You can kind of reverse it in your mind from the other. Basically, yeah, it's hard to defend anything in the middle of the map, so I expect aggressive play. And here we're seeing command center going down. Quick command center from Frozean. He did, in fact, go for a 14 command center. And it looks like Canata's got a front door seal, so Canata might end up economically behind Frozean, playing a little bit risky. This is a 2-player map. I can't believe he's doing this on a 2-player map, playing very, very aggressively, very, very risky, just assuming that Canata is going to get somewhat of a later scout, or that Canata is not going to push into him. We'll see how Canata reacts and if he can equalize this. And that barracks to that forward position create a little bit of a barrier. He's got to worry about run-bys now, and Canata sealing that front door and producing a single ring, which really, unfortunately, he doesn't need to, and now getting that scout, it's going to take a while to get across the middle, but once he sees his 14 command center, I expect him to either, well, he might take an expansion himself, but he might just relying on Frozean to either have bad macro, or maybe he'll just take a quick 2 and hope for that point on, or just go into straight 4 factories. We'll see what goes on, but he's going to scout this off, sending a second SCV out, so maybe up to some trickery here, maybe putting down a second factory out in the field, and it looks like maybe a starport as well to get a quick vulture drop in. Yeah, he's putting down, I gotta assume that's going to be a starport for some vultures, which will be disastrous for Frozean, because he's really worried about the vultures. He's going to seal that front door in. He's not going to have a lot of troops out in the early section of the game. Maybe Frozean will be able to hold out two SCVs here, actually. So maybe a factory and a starport. And we'll see. It looks like, so there's the starport. No, dual starports. So a bunch of Wraith going to be going into Frozean's base. So the question is will Frozean have an engineering bay down, or will he get a quick armory down? And now he's sending out that scouting SCV. Obviously not going to get the scouting because of that blocked front door. But critically, Canata has no idea what Frozean's doing. He still hasn't sent a scout in. He's playing completely in the dark, which is absolutely silly going up against a 14. It's still gonna, it still might work out, but yeah, he's not seen what's going on in the opposite base. He's gonna rely on that vulture to do scouting, and this is gonna be even more delayed because he's killing that SCV. So bunker up on the front, gonna get some marines in there. That'll help somewhat, but we'll see Frozean immediately switches into getting an armory or an engineering bay, which is really what he needs to do critically to minimize this wraith damage. So factory now going down. He's the question is how is he gonna know? Because he's gonna be completely in the dark at this stage of the game. It looks like he's getting a machine shop down now. A vulture just kind of wandering up. He's not gonna, he's gonna have to back off, especially with the marines on the front door. I guess Frozean's just gonna have to sense this. There's that second factory now. He's just gonna have have to sense it coming is what it comes down to. And the Wraith going to be out momentarily, so I don't even think he's going to have time to react. The Wraith are going to be over his main base, most likely going to do some, going to get some excellent SCV kills there. 2 more factories going down for Frozean, so Frozean getting 2 more factories before teching up, and ultimately all he's going to be able to produce is vultures and tanks, which is going to do nothing to these Wraith. But keep in mind, Wraith are just going to be plicking away here, not going to be able to get a lot of damage done. He's got to halt that tech as long as possible now. Frozean sees it, he realizes, well, Wraith doesn't look too panicked. It looks like he's fairly confident bringing those Marines off the line. He still has 4 good Marines to try to ward these Wraith off, and now Canata's just trying to delay tech as best he can. He's just trying to hold this back. Frozean does know, and let's see if he needs to just try to keep those Wraith off his SCV line so he can get some sort of anti-air defense. He does have 3 factories down, so if he puts down a quick armory, gets an academy down, I think he'll be in a pretty good position to ward this off without significant economic damage, and he's going to be pretty far ahead. He can lose a lot of SCVs, actually, and still end up economically ahead with this. Canata's not taking expansion. It looks like he's going to go with an engineering bay and an armory in the backfield. And maybe we'll see if he goes with an academy as well, losing a couple Marines, although he got a significant amount of hits out. A couple vultures pushing out as well. And we'll see if they make a run for Canata's front door. It looks like they are going to make a run for Canata's front door. Wow. And Canata not tracking on that armory, finally finding that armory, but it's mostly finished. Looks like it's just a sliver finished. Just a single SCV needs to wander out there. Looks like a couple of them damaging, and vultures starting to push out towards Frozean. Keep in mind, just now finishing, pushing out. Goliath will be produced. Looks like there's also a turret. Quick kills there by. But let's see now. Is there anything else to deal with this? A single tank and a single Marine, unfortunately, and then those 4 vultures should be able to take out that tank and start assailing that front door. It looks like they're actually going to back off though. The command center going up and quite a bit delayed, and a single vulture coming to that position, but these starports also going to get assailed from the ground. A turret up in the meantime in Frozean's base. Frozean playing this actually quite well, and this is what I'm talking about. Not in range to really protect his main SCV line, see if he decides to transfer, but he's going to be able to take both these starports out. And this is what I'm saying. Sometimes plays really well, sometimes not so much. Those Wraith being forced to come back to try to protect those starports. In the meantime, Goliath on the ground going to be able to have nice detection range to deal with those Wraith, and looks like he canceled that turret. 2 tanks on the front door now, another factory going down. So Frozean lost several SCVs, but he's just going to be able to replace them fairly quickly, and he's still going to end up economically ahead in a really good position into the mid-game. So in that, it looks like that engineering bay just hiding right there, and Canata you can see just trying to pick out, but those Wraiths severely damaged. He's going to have to lift those starports off, and might end up losing these starports to these Goliaths. He has nothing to really support that. If he ends up running up against those vultures going to be able to delay long enough for those Goliaths to take at least one of those starports out. So very nice play here by Frozean early, and again, a Marine getting taken out, and he's also going to be able to delay that second command center for Canata. So things going very, very well for Frozean. He, definitely going to be able to get one of those starports down. See if he just lets it burn. It looks like he's going to, no, he's going to actually make sure he takes that one entirely out. But I think that second starport should be able to make its way in. So more Wraith on that front door, tank sieging up, but Canata very much behind, I would say, losing, first of all, a good degree of his tech. He's going to lose at least 1 starport, maybe the second as well. Those vultures have done their job in delaying that second expansion, forcing Canata to go siege and get that bunker down before he really establishes everything. A nice little wall in. Beautiful there by Canata. Vultures now running up, but they're not going to be able to do anything. Thinking they're kind of wandering actually around the middle of the map, and it looks like a 4th factory going down for Frozean now in the back of his base. Still hammering away at that starport. Let's see if they can light it up, catch it on fire, damage it. Looks like they're actually going to back off. It's not burning. Come on, go up, take it out. This could be a big advantage early, and it's not. No, it looks like they're just going to leave it be. So just going to leave it damaged and humping back. He doesn't want to get hit by those siege tanks, so I assume that's just going to be for spotting at this stage. Laying mines now in the middle of the map, but Frozean's got pretty good map position, getting down a 4th factory. And keep in mind, this is devastating for Canata, because Frozean can just establish position. He could just do a seal-in, honestly, at this stage if he wanted to. Get some Goliaths, get some turrets, get some tanks, seal Frozean in, seal Canata into his base, and then take map control, because as long as he keeps Canata basically isolated, and as long as he keeps track with and gets his own dropship force out. Ooh, careful. Almost lost a couple vultures there. He'll be able to take additional expansions very freely, essentially, and that's what you need. You need to isolate your opponent completely in to take additional expansions. 4 factories up, 2 with machine shops. Looks like a starport going down as well, and it looks like an academy, just in case there was cloaking coming up on that opposite end. And still a couple free hits off on that barracks as it's falling back, but 4 tanks at the 4th position. This is actually a decent amount of tanks by Canata, and I don't see a lot of counter tanks, mostly Goliaths and vultures skirmishes at this stage. With a couple comsats, actually, which it looks like Canata does have, he might be able to push here, putting down a couple more factories, and he does have, looks like, yeah, 5 tanks. He's going to start pushing. He's going to be able to at least clear this minefield out, and this could be bad for Frozean. He doesn't have a lot of troops on the ground, has mostly these mines to delay to the forward position, but not much else. And it looks like, yeah, he's going to start pushing across the map. At the very least, he knows he has to make sure that Frozean doesn't establish position on him, and it's just kind of piecemeal force now pushing up. And I expected Frozean to have a much better economy at this stage, and it looks like, I guess because of that starport going down rather than additional factories, he's having a little bit harder time starting to go with that push. More Wraith